Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're gonna take a look finally at the restored versus Goonies cabinet. But before we do that, I wanna show you something extra special that I did with the PCB. Come check it out. Okay, so we're gonna need to get the back out here really quick, and then I'll show you this unique modification. What the hell? Kim, who put a pie in my arcade? All right guys, here it is, the versus Goonies cabinet. Now, if you remember from Arcade Pickers episode 3, I picked this up from Derek's house. Now, this thing was not really in great shape. So Derek picked it up at, I think, a thrift store for like $175, something crazy. And it had like a wacko marquee. It was painted black on the sides. It did not look anything like this. But you know, the game played fine. So the PCB was fine, the monitor was great, everything else about it was good. So what did I do to this exactly? Well, I replaced the control panel with a new control panel. I put new buttons on it. I refurbed the joysticks. I even put a new marquee. There's some stuff I left original. I updated the T-molding. It's got some nice new fresh T-molding. It was actually kind of breaking apart in sections on the old cabinet, so I had to get rid of that. And then the side art is really great. I got that from This Old Game. Thank you so much for contributing to the project. I put a new coin door on it, and I even put the coin decal from the original Nintendo cabinet. So I did a lot, but you know, there was one thing that was kind of interesting to me when I was going down this path. This is running the Versus Unisystem hardware, and something I didn't know about that is that there's actually a mod from High Score Saves. So although this PCB is great and it plays Versus Goonies, what if someone wanted to buy this refurbished cabinet but they wanted to play other games? What options do they have, but while trying to preserve and keep it original? Well, that's where the whole Pi thing comes in. So High Score Saves sells a solution that I'm gonna show you right now that actually allows you to put a Pi on the original wiring harness via some hardware that they've designed. So it's really, really cool. I'm gonna go show you really quick. What the hell? So right here is the Versus Unisystem hardware. So I'm just gonna unscrew this real quick. Now, the unique thing about the Versus Unisystem is that Nintendo sold other boards. So kind of like my last video where we were talking about the Atari System 1, they sold different boards so an arcade owner could swap out the marquee, the control panel stayed the same, and then they didn't even have to change the side art because the side art just says Versus Unisystem on it. So there's a bunch of different boards that supported this architecture, but I'm gonna unscrew this really quick, and what you're gonna see is the original PCB, and then right alongside it is this Pi solution from High Score Saves. So let me get this open really quick. And then what you'll see is this plate will come off here once I get all the screws off. Okay, all of the screws are off, so I'm gonna pull this out. Now when I pull this out, it's actually tugging on the original PCB. So this PCB right here is the Versus Goonies PCB. So what I'm gonna show you is I'm gonna remove this wire harness right here. There's two cables to the wire harness. So I'll remove both of them. And then you're gonna see right next to this board is a different board, and that board is actually the one we're gonna put the Pi on. So we're just gonna slide this out so I can show it to you. Stuck on the Pi, so here we'll slide out the Pi board first. So this right here is the High Score Saves Pi board, and there's your Raspberry Pi, and it's got your connectors which look very similar, if not identical, to the connectors on the Nintendo Versus System board that I'm gonna show you right now. So we'll slide this board out, and there's your Nintendo Versus Unisystem board, and you can see the edge connectors look pretty much identical. So pretty cool. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna transfer the harnesses from this board to this new board that has the Raspberry Pi on it. So it's really great because it uses the existing wiring harness. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to change anything, you don't have to splice anything, you just connect it right to the existing wire harness. And the great thing about this solution is everything is powered from the stock power. There's literally nothing that you're doing other than putting this in. So I'm gonna just leave this hanging. You can mount it right here inside, It just slides right in, and then we're gonna turn on the unit, and you'll see now I have the ability via this Pi mod to actually load a bunch of different NES games instead of having various different Versus Unisystem boards. Now, I wouldn't recommend you destroy an original cabinet, but if you need an option or you wanna be able to do both and play more games and kind of go back and forth, this is a great solution. So I'll show you to you really quick. Okay, so when your Pi boots up, it's gonna look exactly like this. You're gonna see a Nintendo folder, a Mega Drive folder, RetroPie. There won't be ROMs in it when it comes from high score saves. But basically what you do is you're going to use a process where you connect the Pi to Wi-Fi. So if you don't know how to do that, you can just look up how to do that. Once it's connected to Wi-Fi, you can secure SSH into it. And here's how you would do that.
The first thing you're going to want to do is download something like WinSCP. This is a secure FTP client. Then what you're going to do is put in the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. You can get that information right from the Pi. You're going to put in your username, which your username is going to be Pi, and the password is going to be Raspberry. Then we're going to hit enter. Now you're going to securely log on to the Pi. You're going to navigate to RetroPie. You want to go to ROMs, and then the system you want to add the games to. We're going to do NES. And from here on the left-hand side, you're going to navigate to the actual ROM itself. In this case, I put it on my desktop. It's Gradius. We're going to just drag and drop that to the actual folder on the right. And at that point, when we go back on the arcade machine, once we reboot it, that game will be available to us.
Okay, so after power cycling the arcade, you can see now there's 11 games instead of 10. So if I hit A on the control panel, you'll see I can go through my list of games, and you should see Gradius listed here. Let's see, did I go by it? There it is. But it doesn't have any box art. So what you'll have to do is you go back, and this is just normal RetroPie stuff, but you go to RetroPie, oh, actually, sorry, you go to Start, and then you go to Scraper, so hit A, and then on Scraper, you can just say Scrape Now, and say Start, and what it'll do is as long as your Pi is connected online, it will actually go find the box art for you. So you select the one you want, that looks about right. Now when I go back into the NES folder, you'll see I have the artwork for Gradius. So really, I would recommend you using the High Score Saves kit, the actual Pi, because it comes pre-configured. Unless you are familiar with Pi and you want to do all that, you can do that. But if you're not familiar with RetroPie and Emulation Station, all that stuff, I suggest you get their build. It's super easy. The only step you need to do is connect your Pi to your Wi-Fi network, and then you do exactly the process I just showed you, and then you can load, whatever games you want. And now keep in mind, there are other folders there, and if you want, you can, add Mega Drive games and stuff like that. But you're gonna be limited to the buttons on, your control panel, as I only have an A and a B button. Okay, so the thing I love about the High Score Saves kit is it extends the longevity of this arcade cabinet, right? I mean, it's not practical for a lot of people to buy multiple Versus Unisystems, and this gives them that option. And there's lots of reasons why someone might buy this. It might be that the PCB is too expensive for the game they want, or they just want more options. So it's really neat. And you can play multiple games on it. So I can just exit out of this system at any time, and I can go back to the menu and play another game. Like if I wanted to play Castlevania or Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So if I want to play other games like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I can do that as well on the same system. So it's pretty neat. And I personally like the NES version of Punch-Out better than the arcade version. So it's kind of fun to be able to play that on here. And the great thing is it looks awesome because it's on a CRT, right? So you really can't beat it. Now, what kind of Retro Ralph review would this be without a little bit of Streets of Rage? So of course you need 3 buttons to play Streets of Rage. So unfortunately the way it's mapped, you just lose access to your special, but the rest of the things do work. So, so yeah, obviously you can see it looks amazing. It looks really good. You're playing it on a CRT, so of course it would. Anyhow, let me give you my final thoughts and we'll wrap this up. So what do I think about this Pi kit from High Score Saves? I think it's awesome. It extends the capability of a Nintendo arcade system. Now keep in mind, I'm not suggesting you rip out a working PCB and do this, but it could be something great to run alongside your existing PCB, or if for some reason your stock PCB died and these PCBs are rising in cost, it's a really great option to keep your arcade cabinet running. So I love it. I really do like it. I think there's gonna be mixed reviews. Some people are gonna love it, some people are gonna hate it because it is emulation versus the original hardware. And trust me, I for one would rather go with original hardware all day long, but in this case, it's a really great working solution, and NES is a system that emulates really well at this point. So that's all I have. Put your comments below. I wanna know what you think of this video. I wanna know what you think about the kit from High Score Saves. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and consider subscribing to the channel, and we will see you on the next one.